Now, we've been chatting and it's been great, and I've probably been putting off what we are eventually getting to, and that's you guys talking me through some of the snakes. And Tracy, don't think I didn't notice that you've brought some of those dangerous snakes that you mentioned to me. So what are we going to be looking at today?
Well, I think we're going to start off with the Puffadder. This is the most common snake, venomous snake that we find in South Africa. It's also the most, it's rated as the most dangerous snake in South Africa.
Are you sure we're going to start with this, Sean?
Yes.
That's a good starting point because it's the guy that's most responsible for biting more people than any other snake in South Africa. But having said that, right, he will only bite somebody that's going to try and hurt him, kill him, stand on him, that kind of thing. As I said, he's defensive.
Okay. So, let's put this in context then. If you come across a Puffadder, as I understand it, they're likely to lie quite still.
They lie very still. They like waiting in ambush for their prey. In terms of that, they're extremely intelligent because they don't have to go out hunting. What happens is a mouse will use the same path that we use going up the mountain because it's a ready-made highway, so it's very easy for him to use that path. What happens is he leaves a scent trail. Snakes smell and taste with their tongues, and they realize that this is a highway that contains a large volume of mice up and down. So what happens, he waits on the side of the path, waiting for his takeaways to come walking by. He's a very fast-striking snake, so as the prey gets really reasonably close to him, he feels vibrations for up to about 50 meters, and that's just a mouse walking on the ground. So, you know, when you go walking through the bush, he realizes that you're there, that you're walking past, and he's probably going to lie very, very still, hoping that you don't see him, especially because of the camouflage, that army uniform type color, the black and the yellow backward sort of facing chevrons. He disappears into the environment and you don't see him. So walk close to him and get too close for comfort, he's going to hiss and you really, oh sorry.
Sorry, I am a little nervous.
Oh no, I'm sorry, but that's the kind of thing that you, how you would probably respond to the noise he would make, and the noise that he makes is very similar to that and very loud.
Okay.
And it's designed to keep you away. It's designed to scare you.
All right, let's have a look at him.
Sure.
Okay.
Of course. Okay, so can I just?
I'm going to stand here, and you're safe there, and you're safe there.
All right.
There you go. All right. So we have a special box or container, which means that he's safe and we're safe. And I use a snake hook, which is designed to keep him comfortable. And this particular animal is an adult species of the Puffadder species. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful, isn't he?
He's lovely.
Look there.
He's fat.
Yep, he's a big, fat, chunky snake. As I said, beautiful colors, black and yellow. It varies from one part of the country to the next. It might be more white than yellow. You notice the tongue sticking in and out? Okay, he's not being rude and pulling faces at you, he's smelling and tasting.
Smelling and tasting?
He takes in small particles, as small as molecules, which go onto the roof of the mouth. There's a special organ called the Jacobson's organ. This then sends a message to his brain. Now, can you imagine that a snake can even smell water? That's how strong his sense of smell is. You put a glass of water under my nose, I can't smell it.
No.
If you go into a desert and you're looking for water, okay, and you're desperately running around, really thirsty, don't look for water, look for a snake, because he has to drink every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, follow the snake.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Sean, obviously you don't want to be picking up a Puffadder if you find one, so how are you able to handle him? And he's calm and he's not trying to bite you.
I wouldn't recommend anybody who hasn't had the experience or the training to ever handle a snake like this. The problem with snakes is that they do sense fear. At this point in time, I am confident in terms of the fact that I've got the snake positioned in a comfortable manner. The snake hook is made out of metal, so it's cold. He doesn't respond to that. He's a cold-blooded animal.
Right.
I'm not making any sort of threatening movements.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm not hurting him, so he doesn't have to defend himself or protect himself.
And typically, does he have a name, actually?
We call him Puff Daddy.
Puff. That's amazing. I love that.
Daddy, Puff Daddy, Puff Daddy.
So, what does Puff Daddy eat on a typical week?
Well, he's basically a predator who will go for rodents, mainly mice and rats. We have had cases where they would forage on frogs. and generally an opportunist. There are certain snakes which are cannibalistic in nature. These are not. They don't. There aren't many accounts of them having eaten other snakes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, certain snakes will, but not puffadders.
Okay.
It's also the fastest striking snake in the world.
The puffadder.
Puffadder.
We often think that would be a cobra or a mamba or something like that.
I think what happens, nature compensates. Because he's a very sluggish moving snake in terms of his body size, he therefore has to have the ability to strike very quickly, which means he can strike 2 to 3 times in 1 second.
That's pretty fast.
Really, really fast.
Pretty fast.
All right,
Now,
shall we?
Tracy, when you look at Puff Daddy, you obviously don't see something that terrifies me.
No.
You see something quite beautiful.
I do. I actually do. He almost looks like a little piano at the bottom over there for me.
I must admit that he does, yes. Yeah.
So should we put him back?
I think we can. Now, is he shedding on...
No, those are wood shavings.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And we
Do you want
put
to have a
wood
look
shavings.
inside there?
No, I think I'm going to stay here for now.
Okay, all right.
Perhaps when there's something less venomous in Sean's hat.
Yeah. We put wood shavings into the box just because of the drive, just to keep him comfortable.
Right, okay.
Taken a bit of the shock in terms of the trip. Apart from that, snakes do shed. They have to shed their skins. Every time a snake grows, he has to shed his skin. And you can imagine why this has to happen is because he's moving on his body all the time. So that has to be renewed because there's a bit of wear and tear.
Like a pedicure for a snake.
Exactly.
Tracy, speak
You
to
would
us.
say that.
I would, wouldn't I? Now, speak to us about his head, because if I can admit it's really beautiful. His eyes and are sort of raised a little bit. It's
Yes, come a bit closer and you can both have a look over there. Are you close?
I
Can you see?
am.
What
So
is-
he has a bit of a cheek, I suppose. I don't know what the correct word would be, and a really shapely head
Yes.
when compared to other snakes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you'll actually have a look when you see the other snakes compared to him. Almost like he's got little beads on top, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
the
gorgeous.
beaded look are the rough scales. You get 2 types of scales, smooth and rough scales. These are keeled scales, look like the keel of the boat, each scale. And the shape of his head is very important. The fact that it's a head that can lie very flat on the ground
Oh, I see. Okay.
indicates that he's able to take in vibrations which actually go into the jawbone and then into the middle ear. Now, snakes don't really have ears.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, he doesn't have ears. He has a middle ear, which gives him the ability to be able to take in vibrations and basically even airborne vibrations. If you were to clap your hands, you could even pick up on those vibrations. But his senses are very different. Having no external ears, so he can't hear the same way we do. His eyesight is very poor. His sense of smell has to be incredibly strong. Yeah.
So he relies a lot on that.
Okay, well, I think we can put Puff Daddy back into
Okay.
his container.
Thank you.
He is really beautiful.
Really
He is beautiful.
Yes, and big. I didn't actually expect him to be so thick around the middle. Oh goodness, he's looking at me.
And these are one of the snakes that actually don't lay eggs. They give birth to live young.
No way.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
They give birth to live young. I think our biggest, what was our biggest sort of batch of them at the snake park?
We had about 60 at one stage, born to one female, but the South African record, I think, is about 143.
To one Puff
To one
Adder.
Puffadders, yes.
Do you know, the University of the Witwatersrand, WITS, did a study with one of their environmental science students, and she tracked the smell of puff adders. She tried to
That's
see if
brilliant.
dogs could smell the puff adders, and they couldn't. In fact, she found that during a certain period, they lay so still for so long that these dogs could not sniff them out.
That
Yeah,
is
it's
interesting.
very interesting, and what also sort of reinforces that is that snakes, in fact, don't sweat because they're cold-blooded animals, and therefore they don't carry a smell with them. And it's very important for predatory animals because you can imagine a mouse walking along and he says, I smell a puff adder. He's
Yes.
obviously going to take it.
Right.
So your nature takes care of itself, which is amazing.